Hello everyone, welcome back. This is our third lesson in our Transformers series. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the Hugging Face platform. So again, just to reiterate, what is Hugging Face? So Hugging Face is essentially like GitHub for AI models. It's a place where developers and researchers can upload and share models for things like natural language processing, image generation, speech recognition, and more. But unlike GitHub, it's designed to be super beginner friendly. Okay? So essentially, it's a place where you can find datasets or pre-trained AI models which we can work with immediately, already pre-packaged and ready to use out of the box. Okay? So Hugging Face lets you use powerful AI without building everything from scratch. Just like how you wouldn't rebuild a car engine every time you wanted to drive. Hugging Face lets you use pre-built models that do the hard work for you. Okay, so there's no need to train from scratch. It's free to use, it's powerful and open source and leveraged by community, updated by the community pretty much 24/7. And it's used by Google, Meta, previously known as Facebook, Microsoft and more. So it's used by these industry standard tech giants. Okay, so it's a well trusted platform in the space of machine learning. Alright, an essential tool, which is why we're learning about it today. Okay, so in a moment we're going to go over to Hugging Face's website, and we're going to be taking a look at their model hub, okay, where we can search for AI models. It's like a library with thousands of pre-built AI models or large language models that are already built, which we can work with within our Google Colabs, for example. Okay. Okay, and so within Hugging Face and our models, we have what is known as a model card. And so a model card is essentially like a user manual for these AI models. So when you click on any model, you're going to see its model card, and this is going to be there to tell you what it was trained for and how well it performs, and as well as how to use it. So once we go over to Hugging Face, we're going to take a look at some of these features. Okay, so we're also going to see some model specification when we come over to the Hugging Face website and take a look at these models. And so it's important to understand what each of these specs mean. So we have things such as architecture, dataset, language, model size, task, licenses, etc. So the architecture tells you what kind of brain the model is using. So is it BERT, is it GPT-2, etc., etc. A dataset essentially shows what data the model was trained on, and this is going to affect how it behaves. Model size means how big and powerful it is, and it's done or calculated by using something known as parameters. And so usually the more parameters equals the more capability of the model, but it's also slower, okay, and requires a lot more space in order to run. Okay, next we have license. License matters if you want to use it, for example, in a commercial setting or product. So it basically tells you the limitations of to how you can use that product, right? So similarly, you might have tried to use an image before, and that image might be free to use only for community-based products. Or if you want to use a piece of music, for example, it might say it's free to use, but if you want to use this in any form of commercial activity, then you need like a commercial license. Alright, so that's just licensing. And finally, we have the task, and the task is essentially what the model was designed to do. Okay. Alright, so yeah, in a moment we're going to take a look at some real world examples. So more metrics. So we have accuracy, F1 score, and dataset validation are the most common ones to check for. So accuracy, of course, is going to be showing the percentage of predictions that it gets correct. So in essence, the general performance indicator for the model. As we've looked at previously, F1 score. So this is a subset of accuracy essentially, and describes the precision and recall of the model. and it's important for imbalanced data sets. And we also have dataset validation, so how the model was tested and to show its real-world applicability. Alright. So it's also important to know that Hugging Face is an entire hub for machine learning. So it's not just all about models, but we also have pre-built tools as well. So we have the Transformers library, which helps, of course, for models. Oh, battery's getting low there. So we have the Transformer library, which is useful for working with pipelines and models straight out of the box. But we also have things like diffusers, which is useful for image generation, for example. We, of course, have different data sets that we can preload into our model. Instead of having to do our own research, we can take existing data sets, for example, which can be a very useful tool, etc., etc. We also have different tools, for example, known as PFT, for fine-tuning our model. So we can take a model and then we can tweak it to make it more specialized for a very specific task, for example, which can be very convenient and useful. Say, for example, when you're trying to build something for perhaps a client or build something even for yourself, but you want it to be very specific and work in a very specific way whilst keeping a lot of the functionality and saving you a lot of the time instead of having to build out a model from scratch. Okay? Next, the naming conventions for a model. So models follow a simple format, usually author/model name. So for example, if I was to upload a model, it might be Dan AI, my cool sentiment model, for example. It's easy to remember and easy to use. Alright, so that pretty much sums it up for this section. So now let's go ahead and visit the Hugging Face website so that we can take a look at these features in some more detail.